Developers have tried to give players open worlds to roam since the arcade days, and even decades later, some of these franchises are still going strong. To determine which series are in the running for this list, though, each must have at least 5 entries that are open world, including any currently in development. So, without further ado, here are the 10 longest-running open-world game franchises ranked. First, spinning off from the Forza Motorsport series, Forza Horizon took its cars off the racetrack and onto the streets, where players had to contend with traffic and other racers to pull off stunts, complete activities, and win races. The more they progress, the more challenges and events they can unlock, including racing against planes and helicopters. Next, the first driver game let players drive freely, pulling off different road-based jobs around multiple US-based cities. However, the series lost its mojo when the rushed and buggy Driver 3 came out, and despite improved follow-ups, they weren't quite enough to keep the series from going in an open-world format beyond 2011. Far Cry 2 was the first in the series to take off the floaties and let players wander all over its African-set game world, and it's since become the premier open-world first-person shooter, bringing players all over the globe, from tropical jungles to the woods of Montana. The first Saints Row game was seen as a decent GTA clone that could keep players occupied for a little bit, but over the course of its sequels, developers Volition have turned up the crazy dial, most notably with Saints Row the Third, and then Saints Row 4 went even further by throwing in superpowers, aliens, and dubstep guns into the mix. If Far Cry is the definitive open-world FPS, then the Assassin's Creed games are the definitive historical open-world series. Whether players are controlling Altair, SEO, Edward Kenway, or others, the games have always been about sneaking past foes and parkouring over obstacles to assassinate key targets. Next, the original Dead Rising game tempered the player's temptations to race around slaughtering zombies with makeshift weapons by giving them tight, time management-based objectives and survivors to rescue. Then the sequels changed settings and protagonists before returning to its roots in Dead Rising 4, which unfortunately was not all that well received. The deluxe remaster now seeks to bring the series back to life with some quality of life improvements, and judging by the reception, it's working out so far. The Yakuza series has had an interesting life as a cult classic in the West, where it was barely holding on sales-wise for Sega to even bother localizing the series. That was until Yakuza 0 was released, suddenly becoming a hit and leading to the older games being re-released, remade, and relocalized for modern systems, producing a new legion of fans that made it a global success for the latter half of its life. Grand Theft Auto practically reinvented the genre in its own image, but it really wasn't until GTA 3 that the series really caught on, as it brought the series to life in full, proper 3D, where it was much more manageable, and became the benchmark that other crime-based open-world games were measured against. Next is The Elder Scrolls. After 13 years of updating, expanding, and tweaking Skyrim, the Elder Scrolls series will finally move on to its 6th mainline game. Eventually. The tentatively named Elder Scrolls 6 is marked for a 2026 release, perhaps making it the next eagerly anticipated game after the equally long-awaited GTA 6. And lastly is The Legend of Zelda, which set the template for modern 3D open-world games via Ocarina of Time. From its side quests and upgrades to its collectibles and mini-games, this series' DNA can be seen in all other entries of this list and beyond. It might also be why it's endured for so long, appealing to each generation with each step ahead that it's taken. That'll about do it for our list. Thank you so much for watching, and go to GameRant.com for more like this.